Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. I actually had no intentions on doing a review today, but I picked up the new Butch Walker CD. It's called Butch Walker's Glen. I knew it was going to be good. I didn't really think too much of it. I put it on last night and I was just going to lay down and go to sleep. And this album, CD, was so good I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep. It was that good. But obviously, this is going to be a good review. But do a little backstory here, or my history with Butch Walker. I've known about Butch Walker since Southgang. So I remember the first Southgang album coming out, Tainted Angel, the big video on MTV. Went out and bought the cassette. I was there right from the start, so I have always loved Butch Walker. He didn't sing in that one, but they did a couple albums. I remember one of the funny stories. I saw an interview with them way back in the day where they talked about recording their second album called Group Therapy, and they said they recorded the whole album naked, which I thought was hilarious. But just a little side note there. Then after that band broke up, they went on to form Floyds Funk Revival with the bass player from Southgang, and his wife actually sang lead vocals and co-lead vocals with Butch in that. I have that cassette, and I love it. It's kind of a funky rock type feel, and a little bit of a southern feel to it. It's great. And then they changed their name to the Floyds, and they had an album under the name The Floyds, which I have never been able to find. I would love that CD. I've never been able to find it. I hope someday. I actually was just reminded of it that I've never found that, so I'll probably do a little bit more searching on the internet this afternoon after I get done doing this. But anyway, after that, both those two, Jason and Butch, went on to form the Marvelous Three, and they had a few albums out with them, and then Butch just went solo, and he's just been doing his own thing, got his own studio. He became like this mega producer. He's worked with countless artists. I mean, you would not believe how many people anywhere from Pink to Taylor Swift to I don't know, I'm forgetting everybody. Lots of independent people too. There's actually a documentary he had out a few years. I think it was called Out of Focus on Netflix or one of those Roku movie channels. I saw it on, and just reminded why I love this guy so much. The style of music he's been doing on his own has been kind of like that. I don't know. It's a style of its own, but it's not the rock, heavy pop rock like he used to do. It's kind of got compare it a little bit to like a Tom Petty and Mellencamp, but heavier. Got that really cool jangly guitar sound that I love. Even Black Crowes-ish. I'm comparing it because I have nothing to really compare it to other than that. But it's his own style, and it's catchy, and it just sounds like a band. That's what I like about his stuff, and he's just done it on his own. So, I knew getting this disc, I actually didn't know it was coming out. I was watching this thing on Andrew Masters' channel on YouTube called Epic Home Studio Setup. It said Butch Walker. Actually, I'm just laying on the couch because I'd hurt my foot, doing something stupid, and so I'm just laying down letting that rest and just flipping through stuff, and this came on, and I watched the whole thing. It's like an hour long, and he was talking at the end of it. I had a new album coming out. I was like, oh, sweet. And it was actually coming out that day, so I went and got it. And let me tell you, it's different than any of his other albums. He was staying in this Epic Home Studio thing, how he was writing all the songs on piano, and he was going for his heroes of the 70s, like Elton John, Jackson Brown, Billy Joel. He named a few more, and he caught that vibe for sure. He also said it was inspired by this artist named Sue Clayton, who actually makes a guest on this album, and she was writing an album where she was being a character, and he loved that idea. So the name Glenn is actually his middle name, and I guess it's his uncle's name, and it's just based on a made-up character. So there is kind of like a storyline here. I've only listened to it twice. Didn't really catch what the storyline is or anything like that, but it's I can't say enough good about this album. The standout tracks, I mean, it starts out with a great song, Weather Weather. It just starts out just poppy, upbeat, but it's all on piano, and it's just I have another thing I have to point out right off the start. I noticed his singing on this is like different, but it's top notch. He's singing better on this than I think I've ever heard him sing. The thing about his voice is when he goes for like big notes, higher notes, he's got that strain, and it kind of gives out, kind of like my voice just did there, which was weird. It kind of gives out a little bit, but it's cool. It's strong on this album. It's not like giving out anywhere. He's just nailing everything on this, and with ease. It doesn't sound like he's straining anywhere. It's just like he's just nailing everything on this. The third song, well, it starts with an intro. There's an intro. So the first actual, that's called The Band Takes the Stage, and then Weather Weather is the actual first song. And there's a couple of those little things in here. Roll Away Like a Stone immediately sounds like Billy Joel. And I'm not a Billy Joel fan at all. The singing doesn't sound anything like Billy Joel, but the piano style did, and he sings it his own way, which made me a fan of this style, which Billy Joel couldn't do for me, so kudos there. And I'm not going to go through every single song, but let me just tell you the lyric writing on this, the way he paints pictures with his lyrics is like, I'm envious of it, really. I mean, he does it very well. In fact, there's a song called Stateline Fireworks, which is a duet he does with that Sue Clayton I mentioned. And I guess he's going to make an appearance on her album whenever that comes out. He said January or February of 23, I think is what he said. And I'd have to go back and re-watch it. Andrew Masters is a channel, so if anyone wants to check that out, watch it. That's an amazing tour of his studio. It's great. I recommend everybody watch that. And the song Stateline Fireworks, what I was talking about, and those lyrics paint pictures. It's funny because I live close to a state line, and they're kind of reference how you had to go across the state line to buy fireworks because you can't buy them in your own state. It's kind of funny because I live in a state that you have to do that, and there's fireworks places right across the state lines in several different locations where you can go do that. So I immediately pictured that, and he does that a lot with his songs. There's a song called Tell Me I'm Pretty, which is weird hearing that from a dude, but then he throws in a little line right before the solo where it says pretty effed up, where, that's the little catch, little twist he does on a lot of his stuff. There's another duet on here with a girl named Elizabeth Cook, which I guess is a country singer. I'm really not familiar with her, but she sounds really good on this as well. Probably my favorite song on the album is called The Negotiator, which is track 11. And there was another little thing called Bar Fight in there, which is these little interludes, which I guess is part of the character and the storyline. I didn't quite catch what all that was. I'm probably going to have to pay a little more closer attention to that next listen through. And then right after that, there's another one of those little interludes, and it goes into the last song, which is just a piano ballad called Lean Into Me, and it's like the perfect ending. I really have nothing bad to say about this album. I'm probably forgetting a lot of stuff, but he captured the feel he was talking about. You can picture like Jackson Browne playing on some of these. Don Henley was one of the other ones he mentioned in the interview, which I didn't really catch a lot of the Don Henley stuff, but there is some Eagles feel, I guess, to some of the stuff he's always done, and on this especially. And it's funny because he's a guitar player, and there's a lot of guitar on this. There's some killer solos on here too. And his guitar playing style I've always been a fan of, but he wrote all these songs on piano, but he did have another artist come in and play piano, his band, and they do it all live. That's another thing I was going to say about this. Probably the reason this album sticks out, and it just resonated with me, because it sounds like a band. I've gotten several CDs this past few days I've listened to that I've just been I was expecting more, and they let me down. This one did not do that. Part of the reason is it sounds like a band. And I think that's what a lot of these artists suffer from nowadays, where you got the cut and paste, play in the grid, Pro Tools, which is great for independent artists and people. Like, I don't play drums, so I have to program stuff when I'm making demos and stuff. So I understand you have to stay in that and still try to keep the feel. So I get that people have to do that. But if you have a band, you shouldn't have to do that. And I think, just my opinion, leave it loose. Let it sound like a band. That's one thing I think a lot of these artists is great. Some of this music is, and the sound quality is great. You lose the feel. And I know a lot of the young people out there maybe don't understand what I'm talking about, or blah blah blah. I'm just talking out of my butt. But I'm telling you, the first thing I noticed about this is how great it felt. And it really, you can't get that any other way than just playing the actual instruments. And even if you're an independent artist like I am, I play as much as I possibly can. I can't play drums, so I don't try. I get a drummer whenever I can, but the rest of the instruments I'll play just because I want to get as much feel as I possibly can. When I have other people come in and play, we don't cut and paste, maybe some background vocals here and there, but that's about it, just because the feel is so important. And didn't mean to talk about myself too much there, but there are probably other artists out there listening to me that understand what I'm talking about. For the casual listener, you may not know what I'm talking about, but you can still catch the feel. I know I'm just babbling on and on, but you gotta really hear this album. I can't promote this album enough. I haven't been this excited about listening to an album in a really long time. So you guys got to check out Butch Walker. Butch Walker is Glenn. I can't rate it perfect because those interludes, I think, distracted me a little bit, so I'll give it a 9 3/4 out of 10 stars. That's because I don't think I've ever rated anything a 10. But this is pretty darn close. Anyway, check it out. It's on Spotify. If you just want to get a hint of it first, but I promise you're a fan of any of these artists that I mentioned, you're not going to be let down by this album. It's really that good. But anyway, tell me what you think. What other artists are, where I can find that Floyds cassette, CD. I don't even think it's on CD. That Floyds cassette. Anything. I'd love to hear from you guys. It's been fun. Talk to you guys later. Oh yeah, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Blah blah blah. See you later.